Hello, I will start the session now. It's 11:45. We have 45 minutes to present Azure Media Services, and Rémi Baudouin from ATM will join the presentation to explain what are their plans around the transcoder in Windows Azure Media Services. So thanks for attending the session. My name is Xavier Pouillard. I'm part of the Azure Media Services team. This team is developing the media services I will present to you today. I'm based in Paris. My goal is to follow customers and partners who are deploying the technology for their projects. So the agenda is this following. I will explain what is the vision of Microsoft for the cloud, and how Windows Azure Media Services has been built, which kind of services it will deliver for the customers. And I will do a short demonstration of build-on service as a software service based on Azure Media Services. Then we will look at the on-demand services with a demo of the Media Services SDK. So I will show you in Visual Studio how to ingest an asset, encode it, and transform it to some other format like HLS. Then I will welcome Rémi to present the vision of building the transcoder into the cloud, and specifically with the Azure Media Services. We will cover live services, the kind of API that has been used for the Olympics Games with 4 different broadcasters. And I will conclude the presentation by talking about the clients and devices. That's an important part of the equation. So what our customers want, since many years we have been deployed smooth streaming technology, DRM technologies with customers like Sky, Canal+, Orange, and mainly these customers are asking for three pillars, three main features. The first feature, of course, is the applications. They want very rich applications running on the web, running on many devices, and they want to bring features like time shifting, multi-audio, high-quality streaming, etc. So the Play application is really the visible part of the service, and they want it to be able to run on many devices. So of course, PC, Mac. They want to run it on phones, on game console like the Xbox, on connected TVs. And the last part, which is very important, but the user doesn't see it, of course, it's the backend system. And they started to deploy on-site, on-premise services, or on private cloud. And we are seeing this customer asking for better flexibility, more elasticity. And we think that the public cloud, is a great way to achieve these goals. So this evolution from one or several physical servers to the cloud has in fact several steps, right? The first things that the customer deployed was using a physical server. Then they moved to virtualize these servers into a private cloud. And now in the public cloud, we see 3 main services. First services is the infrastructure as a services, which means that you are running your virtual machine in a public cloud, but you still have to manage your virtual machines. Then you have the platform as a service, which is you don't run a virtual machine, you develop your application, and your application is hosted on a public cloud. That's what we are using for Azure Media Services. So Azure Media Services is a platform as a service offering. And then you have the SaaS, which is the software as a service. Basically, the application is already developed, and you just use it as a user. So that, a good example is, for example, Hotmail. Hotmail is a software as a service application. There are some differences, of course, in terms of management for a developer when he chooses to use a platform as a service or software as a service. So for the platform as a service, the vendor, which is here, Microsoft, is managing everything from the network to the runtime. So Microsoft will manage networking, storage, server. We are providing the middleware. We are providing the runtime. And as a developer or as a customer, you should focus only on your application, which is using the API we provided, and your data, which are the media assets. So it's interesting to use platform as a service because you can still develop your application, but you don't have to bother with the operating system. You don't have to manage fixes, security fixes. You can go very quickly. You don't have to manage how many virtual machines you will have to install and make the virtual machine talk together. So we think that the platform as a service offering is a pretty interesting way to provide media API to the cloud with a lot of flexibility and a cheaper model in terms of development, because you don't have to develop everything, just develop your application on top of the API. So at Microsoft, we don't think that cloud will be the answer for all the applications. We will still see customers running their on-premise infrastructure. But the cloud is really interesting for 4 different scenarios. The first scenario is when you have on and off time periods. So for example, you have to run a service for 2 months. You have to shut down it for 3 months and do it again later, like an event, like a sports event, for example. The cloud is really interesting for that. You don't have to pay for your resources when you don't use it. The second pattern is when you see your service growing very fast, and by using the cloud, you know that you will be able to allocate resources in the cloud to face the demand. If you use on-site, it will be pretty hard for you to provision the hardware if you have to go from 10 servers to 100 or to 1,000. With the cloud, we provide quite unlimited resources. So you know that you will be able to grow if your service is a success, and if you have to deploy this service on many countries, for example. Third scenarios are interesting for cloud is the burst. You know that, for specific months, for example, you will have a burst, and you don't want to invest in hardware resources just to manage this peak. So you could, use on-site for on-premise resources for your classic demand, and use the cloud to manage the peak for you. And last pattern is the same, but you can predict the bursting. You know that for each event that occurs every 2 months, you will need perhaps the double of the resources that you have on site. Then here again, the cloud is interesting because it will manage that for you. So what is Windows Azure Media Services? It's API. Basically, it's API in the cloud for customer that wants to develop media applications. So the API provide services to do ingest, encoding, packaging, and streaming of your media assets in the cloud. The goal of the platform is to deliver this content to any device. We will cover on-demand and live services. And we build our API to be extensible, and partners can extend the API and publish their own media processor to extend the platform and provide their products to a large ecosystem of customers. The customer itself, what we call the build-on partners, we use the API to build the application. So as Microsoft, we don't provide a software as a service offering here, we just provide a platform API, and you have to use this API to build your solution. This is the media services architecture. So basically, we are running on top of Windows Azure. Windows Azure will manage the storage, the CPU, the networking. And on top of that, we are providing API to manage the workflow, which is the ingest. We will secure the ingest, so you could upload your asset from your data center to the cloud. We will provide you API to do the encoding, to do the streaming. And that's the same for live. We will manage the ingest and the encoding and the streaming. The built-in partners is the orange box you see here. A partner could use an SDK to put the product into our platform. And that's the case, for example, with ATM. By using the SDK, ATM could publish the encoder into the platform and make it available to all the users of Azure Media Services. On top of the components, there are several ways to access the API. We provide a .NET SDK. You can also use a REST HTTP API. And the build-on partners are the partners that are building the application using this API. So it could be an OVP company, so a company developing an online video platform, could be a customer broadcasters or a partner working for broadcasters. We are working with Azure CDN, so we can cache the content with Azure CDN. We are also working with third-party CDN, Akamai, Limelight, Level 3, to support their CDN so they can cache the content coming from Azure Media Services. And on the right, the goal is to provide clients and libraries and format to be able to deliver the content to any kind of devices. Of course, Microsoft endpoints like Windows 8 or Xbox, but also HTML5, Flash, Silverlight, and we have porting kits for devices like TVs or set-top box. We have porting kits so they can implement smooth streaming, play-ready, for example, in devices natively. We have several data centers in the world. Today, we deploy the preview version of Azure Media Services in 6 data centers. So 2 data centers for each continent. So you have redundancy. And in Europe, we deployed in Amsterdam and Dublin, for example. So that's available today. You can publish your content into 1 data center or 2 or 3, and you can cover many countries from there. This is the location of the data center, but you can also add CDN features when will have a better connectivity, or you can use third-party CDN that will extend also the reach of your service. So let's take an example of build-on partners that using the API to build the services. So that's a demo we developed for IBC. The idea is really to show you something, to show you an application, a web application using the API, so you better understand the concepts that are in the Azure Media Services platform. Okay, so that's a Contoso. So Contoso, it's a generic name we use for demo. So Contoso is a company. They develop an online video platform based on the API. And one notion you have in Azure Media Services is the notion of assets. So an asset is a set of files. So typically it's 1 MPEG-4 files or 10 MPEG-4 files or any kind of video files or audio files or images. And an asset is a container. So you see here that I have input and output assets. So input, it's the result of an ingest. Output is the result of transformation. So typically it has been transformed with an encoder, for example, and then I got an output assets. So if I look, for example, to these assets, I will be able to see that it's not published yet, so I cannot stream it from the cloud, but it's still in my storage, and it contains all the smooth streaming files. So typically one file per video bitrate and 2 manifest files. So you see here the files. Each file has a specific ID. I know if I see that the files are encrypted in my storage, so we can encrypt everything with AES 256 to protect your content in the cloud. And I can use these assets to publish it or as a source to another transformation. So I will upload my assets with the API, and then I can define a template of a job, which is basically a workflow. Let's take an example. I want to take a MPEG-4 file. I want to encode, for example, with the ATM encoder or Digital Rapids encoder or the Azure Media encoder, because we provide a first-party encoder in the platform. Then I can select which profile I want to use, which encoding profile I want to use with this encoder. So let's take Xbox, and I can name this template. I can choose if I want to protect with the Microsoft PlayReady DRM. Also, a DRM provider can be a built-in partners. So for example, we are working with ByteDRM and EasyDRM, and they are providing, they will provide packager. So you could encrypt with a ByteDRM, for example, packager, and make sure that your content can be served by a ByteDRM infrastructure for the licensed DRM delivery. So basically, these templates, it's a way to create your workflow, and then you save your templates, and once you have your template, you can you can assign your template of a job to an asset, and they create a job. So here, for example, I can select my job. I select my templates. So for example, I don't know, I want to encode to MP4. I select my assets, and it will create a job. And I will show you later with the demo with the SDK, a full-on encoding on the cloud, in the cloud. But that's the concept. And then, of course, we will provide reporting. So as a customer of the platform, you will be able to know how many asset has been encoding, how many users connected to the origin service, so the streaming server, and I mean a lot of statistics about the usage of your application and the reporting of your application using the platform. So that's for on demand. We plan to release it before the end of the year for on demand, which means that we will support on-demand workflow. We will support secure HTTP and fast UDP upload via partner Aspera. We will provide the Windows Azure Media Encoder. You will be able to do packaging to smooth streaming formats and HLS, Apple HLS. We will support the PlayReady DRM encryption and AES encryption for Apple HLS. We will provide also streaming server, what we call the origin services, for smooth streaming, Apple HLS, MPEG-Dash, live profile. We are also planning, as I will tell you later, dynamic remix. And we will support Azure CDN to cache your content, or we are working with third-party CDN, as I told you. And the API are providing through REST API, so you can use any language to develop your application. And you can also use, we will provide a .NET SDK and a Java SDK. so you could develop from this native language directly. So the SDK, we are using REST API, open data. We have a today.NET library, which is available for preview for free. You can test it today if you want. And we are working on the Java library for this fall. So let's see a demo of the SDK. So I have Visual Studio open here. Okay. So I took the sample code we provide with the platform. I'm going to do something very, very, very easy. Okay, so let's take a short video now to show you that it's a real demo. So I'm taking a short video with my Windows phone. Okay, 10 seconds. And I'm going to take it on my PC and upload to Azure Media Services. Okay, so it should be, I think it should be arrived now. Okay, here it is. So if I go to my video folder, I should find now my video here. Here it is. And let's copy it to a local folder. And I'm going to change my source code to reference this video. Here it is. Okay, so I will upload this MP4 file, which has been just shoot on my Windows phone. So the code is doing something, is doing a workflow, which is here. So I'm doing a create encoding job for this event. And basically, it's upload the assets. Where it is, okay. Here it is. I'm uploading the asset. I'm asked the Azure Media Encoder to encode with the H.264 for smooth streaming. And I launch the job, I check the job, and I create a locator, which means that I want to publish the smooth streaming asset to the cloud publicly. And then I'm doing another job after, which is transforming the smooth streaming to HLS asset. And again, I'm checking the job here, the progress, and at the end, when the job is finished, I'm creating a locator, which means that it will create a URL so I can stream to the iPad and iPhone. So let's compile and launch the application. So now it's currently uploading the content to the cloud. And if I look to my performance, I will see that my Ethernet connection is sending data to the cloud. So I think the file has been downloaded in a few seconds. And now the code is asking the API to encode the file with smooth streaming profile. So my job is in the queue of the cloud service and will be processed in a few seconds, will be encoded, and then I will do again the transformation to HLS. So you see that now the encoding is on. So I'm doing the encoder, the Azure Media Encoder is running on my files in the cloud. And in a few seconds, it will create the files, and will use the HLS. I will start the HLS transformation. So if I look to the workflow I just did, it's this very simple workflow, right? Uploading the MP4 files in a secure way, creating a smooth streaming assets, running a transformation task from smooth to HLS, And then I will have two assets, one smooth streaming asset and one HLS asset, and I will stream it to clients. So you see that there are 5 kind of tasks in the workflow: ingest, encode, packaging, and encrypting and delivering. I won't go into all details, but you have to know that we support HTTP and UDP upload. For UDP, we work with Aspera. We secure your upload by using AES encryption, and we support bulk ingest. We support bulk ingest of many files at the same time. For the encoding, we provide a first-party encoder, which is the Azure Media Encoder. It's very close to the Expression Encoder 4. It supports H.264 and VC1 video codec. For the video, we support AAC. We will support Dolby Digital Plus also for the audio. And we can package to MPEG-4, to smooth streaming, to Windows Media, and to many other formats. We are working on that to update it for the coming months. And you can also encrypt with PlayReady. And we are working with third party like ATM or Digital Rapids, and they are building the encoder and use our media processor SDK to publish the encoder in our platform. For the packaging, we have a packager which is called Windows Azure Media Packager. It's doing remix from MPEG-4 to Smooth and to Apple HLS or to Dash. It can prepare the content for dynamic remix, and it's segmenting the content in order to be able to be delivered with HLS, for example. We have a packager which is called the Windows Azure Media Encryptor. We support smooth streaming and Apple HLS, and we can encrypt with PlayReady. We are also supporting the MPEG command encryption and the classic AES encryption for HLS. And to deliver, we have an origin service, which is really an evolution of ATM Media Services. For you, if you know the software stack, you just ask the locator URL, and then it just works. You don't have to manage the number of origin to deploy. We will do for you. We can guarantee the bandwidth, and basically we will provide a very high available service for your streaming services. We are working on dynamic remix, so it will be part of the origin service. The features that we can take MPEG-4 files or smooth streaming assets, and we can deliver it to many formats, and we will do the transmixing on the fly. So we don't change the codecs, but we are on the fly doing transmixing from MPEG-4 from smooth streaming to HLS or to MPEG-Dash. So we will support that in a few months, and so it's a way to reduce the number of assets you have to store in the cloud. So let's take an example. If I don't have dynamic remix, and if I want to deliver HLS and smooth streaming to clients, I need in fact to encode to smooth streaming. I need to encrypt with PlayReady. I need to do the same for HLS. So at some point, I have perhaps 4 versions from different versions of the assets, 2 versions in clear and 2 versions in encrypted. Okay, you can delete the clear version if you don't need anymore, but still you have 2 versions of the assets. So the idea of the dynamic remix is that you just store 1 version of the assets, so for example, smooth streaming assets or MPEG-4 files, and the origin service in Azure will do the dynamic remix when the client asks for the content. So it really reduces the storage cost for your assets in the cloud. So let's look at the demo. So we see that it's still doing the encoding of my files. So I will go later. I will check later. Let's go to the built-in section of my presentation. We announced at ANAB this year several partners that are building a solution for Windows Azure Media Services. So for ingest, we are working with Aspera. For encoders, we are working with ATM, Digital Rapids, and others that will provide a solution in our platform. We have Also we are working with ByDRM, EasyDRM, Evolution for content protection. On the origin services, we are also working with Waza. Waza will run the origin server in Azure Media Services. And for CDN, we are working with CDN, all the main CDN providers, and for example, like Akamai. We have also built-on partners that are working to deliver the service based on our API. And on the client side, we have the smooth streaming porting kit, which is a way to support smooth streaming in many devices. For example, we have license with Sony, Philips, Samsung, and these people are supporting or working on supporting smooth streaming in their devices. So the building partner SDK is a SDK that wraps the product from a third party, so we can run it in Azure Media Services, and the user will be able to provide the assets and the settings. So the partner plugin can run it and transform the assets and generate an output asset. So basically, the Azure Media Services as a host. The third-party software can be allocated by Azure Media Services, and we send the media asset to the third-party processor, and we got back the asset transformed by the processor. So let's look at ATM Solutions. So Rémi will present what they are doing and how they see the use of Azure Media Services with their product, which is called Titan Transcoder.
Thank you, Xavier. Once again, thank you for attending this session. My name is Rémi Baudouin. I'm Director of Product Marketing in ATM, a Microsoft partner for transcoding in the cloud. Just before... Oops.
Because my recording was finished.
Okay.
You can take it again.
Just before going into deeper details, I would like to thank you, Xavier, for giving me the opportunity to present what ATM is doing in cloud transcoding. We are highly value the relationship with Microsoft, and I hope that in the next 5 to 10 minutes, you will have understood why ATM is investing in cloud transcoding with Microsoft and what our benefits are. Just quick word on the company, if you don't know ATM. So we provide video compression solution to, I would say, the overall broadcast and broadband market. Our customers are service providers, service operators, pay TV operators, broadcasters, especially here in the UK, in the US, who are willing to leverage our bandwidth efficiency to deliver high fidelity encoding, high video compression bitrate, or high challenging video compression bitrates to the end user. We are almost 100 company, headquartered in Paris, but we have field offices and support offices worldwide. So froggies, but not only. We provide various type of solutions to different market segments in the broadcast and broadband market. We are present in the upstream contribution business, let's say the point where we have to connect field or stadiums to facilities. We are also providing video head-end solutions to distribution or redistribution customers. But also we are providing a mass transcoding solution to deliver multi-screen delivery, to serve the multi-screen delivery. I mean the capability to transcode in real time or in offline various type of content, various type of mezzanine file, and deliver these to set-top boxes, to PC players, to Windows phones, to iOS devices. The multi-screen delivery is the main reason why I'm here. We have now a large footprint of broadcast and service providers customers, and we want to leverage these on-premises footprints to invest in the cloud. When we look at the various customers that we have seen that they have to face different challenges. First of all, the demand for more devices, more profiles, more content is booming. our customers have to now transcode several hours of thousands of content into various profiles and various deliveries. Secondly, as Xavier mentioned, the production is not flat. There could be some peaks, there could be some downsize. In other words, there is an high variation in the production, and sometimes an on-premises production is not adapted. You have some software, you have some hardware. It's very difficult to predict how your production will evolve over time. Just take an example, when you have season premiere or season finals in sports or in TV shows, your customer or the audience want to see all the shows or all the games at the same time. So it's very difficult to predict the size of your transcoding farm that you will need to absorb all these peaks. Finally, we are facing a global demand and a connected world. We have some operators that are not only regional, they are global. They have offices or affiliates in LATAM, in Asia Pacific, all of these being connected by CDN or by fiber. So they want to address a broader audience amongst the various territories. So for all these reasons, a pure on-premises usage may not be adapted. This is why ATM is investing in the cloud transcoding. The way we work is very easy. As Xavier demonstrated you have a file available in the Microsoft Azure data center. This file is ready to be processed by the Titan Cloud, with which is the ATM solution for cloud transcoding. Aside, you have what we call preset. A preset is actually how the Titan Cloud has to process the video for the target delivery. You submit through a user interface or through your framework the preset to the Titan Cloud, and the Titan Cloud will then process the content file according to your preset that you target. The idea here is that you do not need to configure the Titan Cloud every time you want to run a transcoding job. You have a set of profiles already defined, already configured for Windows Phone delivery, for Apple delivery, for set-top box delivery. You just need to select the profile in the database and apply these profiles. And then that's the rest of the processing chain as Xavier demonstrated. That means that the profile that we create, streaming or adaptive streaming delivery, are then delivered to CDN and eventually to the end users. If I have to recap the benefits of ATM in this world, I would say one benefit is that we have a long history of broadcast experience in terms of video quality, in terms of workflow, in terms of interoperability with both target deliveries, but as well input mezzanine files, subtitle, multi-audio, closed captioning. So the idea of having ATM available in Microsoft Azure is the ability to extend all our benefits in the on-premises into the cloud. So that, for instance, you can imagine starting with an on-premises usage and then migrate to the Microsoft Cloud when you need to do so to absorb peaks, or you can go directly with the cloud. Long story short, you will be able to achieve the same bandwidth efficiency, the same broadcast quality, the same feature-rich content, closed captioning, subtitling, multi-audio in a cloud environment. Thank you for your time. I'm available after the session if you have any question.
Thank you, Rémi. So let's look at the file. So normally, my code has generated the URL in a text file. So you see here that I got now my URL, so I can stream my video from the cloud to any smooth streaming clients. And I have the same for HLS. So you see the HLS streaming URL coming from Azure Cloud Services. So let's play the content now. I have, okay. So I have a smooth player for Windows 8 application on my laptop. And so I'm going to play the streaming coming from the cloud in my Windows 8 application here. So it's a very simple application using the player framework, which is available on codeplex.com. And I can insert here. So here, I am a player and I can, okay, insert here my URL. So now I'm, okay, I will ask the player to play the stream coming from Windows Azure. So I compiled the application and it should work if I have some no issue on the network connection. Okay, so this is a smooth streaming. So I'm starting with the low bit rate here, but I'm going higher. So smooth streaming playing on Windows 8 from Azure. Okay, so we have 5 minutes left. So we saw the on-demand workflow. We saw the built-in partners possibilities. The last topics I want to discuss is live services. We will support live services coming next years. And one good example has been the London Olympics Games. So for 4 different broadcasters, which are France Television, RTV in Spain, CTV in Canada, and Terra in Latin America, our partner Delta Tray used Azure Media Services for the live streaming infrastructure. So basically, they have been using this platform to do video ingest, archiving on live stream, transcoding on 4 different data centers. It has been very successful. We stream more than 4,000 hours of content with the smooth streaming, with HLS. And there have been also more than 12,000 transcoding jobs to create a VOD version of the live for iOS. And our broadcasters, the broadcaster use the platform to stream to Flash, so we developed a smooth streaming client for Flash for the project. They also were able to deliver the content to iOS, Android, Silverlight, Windows Phone, and Xbox. And the architecture has been this one. So basically, the encoding was done in 3 different sites, in France, in London, and in Madrid for Europe. And all the streams were ingested in 2 data centers, one in Amsterdam and one in Dublin. Then this data center were doing the archiving of the live, transcoding for VOD, and we were delivered the stream to Akamai CDN. And then the clients from France TV, RTV, and CTV were streaming from Akamai and on different devices, as you can see. So mainly, I think all were using iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and some were using Silverlight, and some others were using Flash for the PC version. So that's for live. I won't go in detail, I don't have time. I just wanted to conclude on the client side. On the client side, the philosophy for the platform is to be format agnostic. So we are supporting smooth streaming and MPEG Dash. These are our preferred protocols, but we are working on implementing Flash, HLS, as you saw during my demo, and progressive download, of course, because in some case, some TV, for example, they are still supporting only progressive download, so we will be able to do it, of course, from the cloud. We are supporting HTTP. We are working to support through a third-party RTMP, because as you saw with the origin service, we can have third-party origin service running in our platform. And on the DRM side, we support Clarity, but for some devices, we know that we'll have to support other DRM, so we are working to support Adobe Access, or to support also the common encryption format, so we can have multiple DRM for one asset. On the reach, we provide libraries for Microsoft platform, so for Silverlight, for Xbox, for Windows Phone, for Windows 8, so you don't have to develop that. We provide smooth streaming, Dash, and play-ready libraries. And for non-Microsoft endpoints, we are also providing libraries, or we are providing porting kits. So the customer can easily develop an application. They don't have to bother with the protocol or the JRM technology. So we have a lot of libraries available. So if you are interested, let us discuss together, and we'll be able to go into details. So this is the end of the session. Just to summarize, the goal of the media services is to be easy for the customer to develop a media application. We have designed the application to be flexible and powerful. A partner can be a built-in partner or a build-on partners or both. And the customer itself will use the platform for develop applications, so they can update existing applications or build new applications. On the pricing model, the idea, of course, like any cloud services, is to pay for the usage, and there will be a monthly bill when you can see, which is the result of the consumption. So basically, we will bill for the encoding and for the outputs of the platform. And the components can be mixed together to create your custom end-to-end media workflow. So there are a lot of possibilities here. And in the future, by having more and more partners, we will be able to extend that and to have a better kind of workflow and support for many formats. So thanks for the session. If you want to have more information about Azure Media Services, go to this link. And there are two contacts in Europe. So Matthew is not here, but he's in charge of the business development for Europe. So if you have a project and you want to discuss business with him, you can contact him to his email address here, and me for any technical question on your project using Azure Media Services. I don't know if we have time for Q&A. I think we can take perhaps 3-4 minutes to if you have any questions. Otherwise, we are done. Any questions about the presentation? I think we have a mic at the back of the room. Yeah. First, one question. Yes.
Hi, it's Paul from B-Sky-B. I was wondering if you're partnered with anyone that provides targeted advertising solutions.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Have you got any partners or any technologies that will support targeted advertising in your services?
Yeah, I didn't have to talk about the advertising, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So personalized advertising for each individual.
Yeah, so we have built-in support for advertising systems. So we support VAST and some way to signal the advertising. So we develop. So there are two pieces of technology. One is the back end in Azure Media Services. We have support for advertising engine, and we can have partners also extend that and publish their own plugin. On the client side, we have support for advertising in what we call the Media Player Framework, which is available. You can download the source code for free. And it's a player framework for Windows 8, for Windows Phone, for Silverlight, and for HTML5. And so it will work natively with Azure Media Services for the advertising. So you could use it for VOD to insert advertising or to insert advertising, and for live also.
And for live.
And for live, yes. I think it has been used for the Olympics. We have some solutions, so you could insert in real time and advertising, and you can play with infrastructure. So we have a tool, for example, that allows someone to monitor the stream and insert in real time the advertising. So yeah, we have such support. Other question?
Hello. What kind of input files do you support for transcoding?
So the question is what kind of input files. So we have an article online that explains what we have for Windows Azure Media Encoder. So basically, Azure Media Encoder is the same code that Expression Encoder. So we will support most of the files that are supported today by Expression Encoder, which is MPEG-4 as a source, MPEG-4 Windows Media Video, PIF, MPEG, MPEG-TS, MPEG-PS. We support MPEG-2 codecs, MPEG-1, VC1, H.264 as a source. And then as an output, basically MPEG-4, smooth streaming. But third-party encoders can add support for other formats. So it's going to change in the future, and we will add more formats in the future. But send me an email. I will send you the link to the technical page, technical document that explains all the formats that we support today with Azure Media Encoder. This is public. Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Torbjörn Ecken from Nasdaq. What's your time plan on when you think you can offer the live services and with dynamic remix?
So the roadmap for live services, it does not be publicly communicated yet. What we can say that we plan to release it next year. So we are today focused on deliver the first version, which will be on demand only. So it will come before the end of the year, and live will come later next year. For dynamic remix, we will do it for VOD, for on demand. It should come a little after the first version of Azure Media Services. So a few months after the release of the VOD version. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and keep in touch. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to send me an email, and we will follow up with you. Thank you.